It's SEC football season eve, if that is such a thing. Thought we would do a special Friday night, late night podcast for you. Why? Well, to quote Bluto Blutoski at Animal House, why not? We're here. We're going to do a couple of different things here. We're going to do some predictions on the show. We're going to do our college football predictions for the year. The Big 12 underway, the Big 10 not underway, the Pac-12 announcing that they're going to get involved now. So we thought, let's do the predictions. Let's do the predictions now that we know what the season is going to look like. As I get squared here, got a camera here, got our Facebook Live and our Twitter Live. First, Harp On Sports, The Bar, Harp On Sports, the Podcast Media Audio Networks, at Harp On Sports Twitter, at Harp On Sports Facebook, at Harp On Sports Instagram, Harp On Sports the YouTube channel, Harp On Sports the podcast, The Bar, Spotify, Buzzsprout, and Apple Podcasts. There you go. Okay, what do we have in store for you today? Well, again, I'm going to go through my predictions, what I think is going to happen in each conference, what I think is going to happen overall on the whole overall arcing landscape of college football. First, Pac-12 is now involved. Pac-12 going to play a 7-game season. What does the Pac-12 7-game season mean? Well, the Pac-12 7-game season means this. It means that they are now worthy of consideration. And you look at a season at this point, and this is where college football just fixed this thing already. All right, overall, college football playoff come out and say, we need you to play 8 games to be considered. How are we going to do this? We're going to move the season back. Here's what's going to happen. Okay? You're going to have a mess on your hands where SEC teams are trying to play makeup games. While the Pac-12 is not starting until November 6th. The Pac-12 is not starting until after Halloween. The fact that the Pac-12 is starting after Halloween, what does that mean? Well, it means that they've got a whole 5 weeks to get this figured out when the SEC and the Big 12 and other conferences are playing makeup games in December. Notre Dame just had to cancel a game, postpone a game because of their positive tests. That is going to happen in the Big 12 in terms of major showdowns. That is going to happen in the SEC in terms of major showdowns. You're just not going to have a place for them. You're not going to have a place to put them. So the smart thing to do from college football's perspective, in the college football playoff, Danny Cannell talked about this earlier this week. You need to push these games back. You need to push these games back is what you need to do. How much do you push them back? Move the college football playoff to January 14th. Then at that point, that allows the Pac-12 to get to 8 or 9 games. The Big Ten sitting there right now going to play 8. If the college football playoff would come out right now and go, you know what? We're going to push it back to 9. We're going to push it back so everybody has to play 9. Big Ten, you better get your 9th in. Pac-12, you better get your 9th in. By doing that, by pushing the college football playoff back to January 14th, you can pull that off. You can physically pull that off. If you don't push it back, and all of a sudden you have games that are postponed and games that are pushed back and games that are canceled, then you are going to have a mess at your hands. You are. Just push the thing back. You don't have to push it back a lot. You don't have to push it back a lot. Push it back 2 weeks. And you can solve these problems. You can solve these issues. But we're going to go under the notion for the predictions of this that we are where we are. And that is a 7-game Pac-12 schedule, an 8-game Big Ten schedule, a 10-game SEC schedule, and the ACC at a 9+1 is what we're going to do. So let's do this, shall we? Let's go through and look at some predictions. The Pac-12, a 7-game schedule plus a +1 championship game. I don't even know what this is going to look like. So what do I think is going to happen? I think Oregon's going to go undefeated. I think Oregon's going to go undefeated. And they're going to be sitting there at 8-0 at the end of the year going, hey, what about us? What about us? You can't include them. You can't. You just can't do it. Not when the SEC's playing 10. That's a legitimate debate, a legitimate discussion that needs to take place. The College Football Playoff can solve this just by moving the playoff back 2 weeks. Nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to get worked up about this. They're not. Moving it back's not going to hurt anything in this climate where you have the NBA Finals taking place in October. Nobody's going to care that you move the College Football Playoff back to mid-January. Nobody's going to care. If you were smart, you'd move it back. If you were really smart, you'd move it all the way back to the weekend before the Super Bowl. Actually, if you were smart, if you were really, really smart about this. And the solution's right there in front of you. The solution is, it's right there in front of you. You'd move it back to conference championship weekend in the NFL. You'd play it the Saturday before Sunday's championships in the NFL. So if you were really, really intelligent about this, which right here, you'd move the College Football Playoff back. You'd play it, what would that be? The 24th, the 23rd, and then you'd have the championship the Sunday when the Pro Bowl's taking place. You play the championship that night, 8 p.m. kick. So you'd play your 2 playoff games on the Saturday and your championship game the next Sunday. That gives you 8 days. And then the next week's the Super Bowl, the January 31st. That's what I would do. But anyway, Pac-12, Oregon's going to go undefeated, and then you've got a mess. Dan, the back is back. It is back, baby. The Western Michigan University, 6-0. They should be part of the College Football Playoff as well. All right. So there we go. I've got Oregon going 7-0, winning that conference. They're not going to be included in this. The Big 12. With the mess that we have on our hands, there are anomalies, there are curveballs, there are messes all over the place. For the purpose of this, I am going to say the following. Trusting quarterbacks is more important than ever. I am going to lean towards veteran quarterbacks. Joe Burrow was lightning in a bottle, but he was a returning starter. When I'm looking around and trying to decide this team over that team, this team over that team, I'm going to lean on the team that has veteran quarterbacks. I am. So I look at the Big 12. Oregon's got the most talent. Oklahoma's got the most talent in the Big 12. They do. Oklahoma has the most talent in the Big 12. Texas has Sam Ehlinger. They've got a returning starting quarterback. Multiple year returning starting quarterback. Oklahoma, Texas at the Cotton Bowl. It's not the same without the fans. It's going to be socially distanced. It is. So what do I see happening here in the Big 12? Texas and Oklahoma. Neither team, between Texas and Oklahoma, neither team has the ability to beat the other team twice. They don't. So whoever wins in the regular season is going to lose in the Big 12 championship game. They are. Give me Texas with the veteran senior quarterback the second time around. Texas beats Oklahoma to win the Big 12 championship. Texas is in the college football playoff, and I've got them as a 4 seed. The Big Ten. The Big Ten going to get their 8 games in. The Big Ten, I think, in the conference, Ohio State has the most talent. I think Michigan has the second most talent. Actually, I think Penn State has the second most talent. But Michigan, with the schedule and who they're playing, what it's going to look like, and however they're going to set this thing up when it's all said and done, I just don't know how you can sit here and pick against Justin Fields in Ohio State. I don't. And I've got another curveball for you. Ready? Justin Fields is going to win the Heisman. Here's why. I look at conferences like the SEC, and there's going to be a ton of talent. They're going to have big stages, big stages. But a school like Ohio State's going to have a big stage against whom? Going to have a big stage against Michigan. Going to have a big stage against Penn State. Potentially a big stage against Wisconsin. In the SEC, a team like Florida, Kyle Traskey's not going to put up those type of numbers. He's not. Now, the thing that does scare me about Justin Fields is that he may not be in a lot of these games late, but Trevor Lawrence in the ACC is not going to be in any of these big games late. You can't do it. They're going to beat teams so bad, he's not going to be in the second half. Justin Fields is on those big stages. Clemson doesn't have those big stages. Who in the SEC is going to be on a big stage like that? Who? Burrow was on a big stage like that because he had Alabama. Burrow was on a big stage like that because he had Florida. Burrow was on a big stage like that because he had Auburn. Right? Auburn, Alabama, A&M. He had big stages. Those big stages aren't going to exist within the SEC West, with the exception of Mac Jones at Alabama. So, circling back around, Justin Fields at Ohio State. I have Justin Fields in Ohio State going 8-0. I have Michigan going 7-1. Michigan's only loss is going to be Ohio State. Watch. Michigan's only loss is going to be Ohio State. You just can't beat them. Not yet. Not talent. You don't have the quarterback. I'm not going to trust a new quarterback to go and beat Justin Fields in Ohio State. Not. I think Michigan will have a good year, but not enough. And then I'm going to double up on that. And I think Penn State goes 6-2. But when it's all said and done, Ohio State's going to go undefeated. Ohio State's going to win the Big Ten. So Ohio State wins the Big Ten, undefeated. Oregon wins the Pac-12. And unless they move the playoff back, a 7-game Pac-12 season, you're not going to be involved in this. You're just not. Which maybe is a good thing, too, because now you can get the discussion going on to expand the playoffs. Not going to expand it this year, but you can at least have that discussion. So, I told you the Big 12. I like Texas to lose to Oklahoma in the regular season, turn around and beat them in the Big 12 championship game. Texas, Sam Ehlinger, they're going to head to the college football playoff. 4 seed, Ohio State is your 3 seed. Ohio State winning the Big Ten, going undefeated. I'll get to the SEC in a second. In the ACC, the only team that can beat Clemson is Notre Dame. Notre Dame can't beat Clemson twice. I would not be surprised. I'd be a little bit surprised. If Notre Dame would beat Clemson in South Bend, it really, really, really wouldn't shock me. It'd surprise me, but it really wouldn't shock me. However, Notre Dame can't beat them twice. They just can't. They can't. And I don't think Notre Dame's going to beat them in South Bend. I think Notre Dame this year going to lose 2 football games. Both going to beat Clemson. They are. There's your wrench in all of this. Your wrench in all of this is if Notre Dame loses to Clemson at home and then turns around and dumps them in the ACC championship game. There's your wrench. What, Clemson's lost 1 game? Then at that point, with the exception of the national championship game, Clemson's lost 1 game the last 3 years, and you're going to keep them out of it? Everybody keeps talking about, 2 SEC teams, 2 SEC teams, 2 ACC teams. If any conference that's got the best chance to get multiple teams, it's the ACC. Just be smart and think about it. The SEC's playing a 10-game schedule. That's too many. When the Big Ten's playing 8, and the ACC's playing what? 9? The SEC's playing 10? When it's all said and done, I really think this too. Your conference got the best chance is the ACC, because Notre Dame beating Clemson is the biggest marquee win you can have of any team in college football. You're going to take a Notre Dame team that beats Clemson, that's 9-1, and another Clemson at 9-1. If they beat each other, you're going to tell those teams, no, you're not good enough to make it. There's your multiple team conference. It's the ACC. So I think Clemson does beat Notre Dame twice, so Clemson's going to go. Clemson is my 1 seed, and time for the SEC, right? So, look, quarterback plays everything for me. It is. That's why Trevor Lawrence, Ian Book, Notre Dame, and Clemson are the top 2. And I told you in the Big 12, Sam Ehlinger, Texas is going to win quarterback play. I elevate quarterback play on these short skits, on these short seasons. Ohio State quarterback play. So Ohio State, Texas, Clemson, and in the SEC, this is what's going to happen. I'll start off with the SEC West first. I think Alabama goes undefeated. I don't think Alabama's going to lose. I don't. I've got one curveball coming in the East. I think Alabama's going to go undefeated. Mac Jones, upperclassmen, played on the big stage last year, played on the big stage in a couple games last year, played on the big stage, lost a heartbreaker to LSU. Tough game. LSU ran down their throat. Mac played extremely well. Lost to Auburn, same similar fashion. Lost 2 big games to 2 big opponents. I think he's got it figured out. I do. Plus, this year, yeah, Alabama does have to go to LSU. Okay, Alabama gets Auburn at home. Alabama's going to win them all. Alabama's going to win them all. They're not going undefeated this year. It's all Alabama's done. Alabama's dynasty's done. Yeah, watch. Watch what's coming. He's got them after they lost multiple games last year. Alabama lost multiple games. Had to go to a non-major bowl for the second time since Nick Saban's been the head coach. I guess third when you count Colorado in the first year in the Independence Bowl. The Independence Bowl. So now what? Alabama wins the West. I have Alabama going 9-0. I've got Auburn going 7-2. And then A&M finishes like 6-3. That's how the SEC West is going to shake out. In the SEC East, I've got Georgia finishing third. I have Georgia finishing third in the East. Why? Quarterbacks. Talent. Quarterbacks talent, plus the schedule. Think about your crossover games. Your crossover games for Georgia are what? Georgia's got to play Auburn, and Georgia's got to play Alabama. Georgia got to play Auburn and Alabama. That's a lot. That's asking a lot. Where Florida's crossover games are LSU, which is tough, but LSU may be down this year, and what? Arkansas, A&M, Florida got handed the East. They really did. Florida got handed the East. So when it's all said and done, I've got Georgia going 6-3. Ready for this? I have Tennessee going 7-2. Upperclassmen quarterbacks. Jared Garantano. What Tennessee win? 3 of their last 4 last year, 4 of their last 5 down the stretch last year. Tennessee played well. Jeremy Pruitt did a heck of a job there last year. I think Tennessee finishes second. I got Tennessee losing 2 games. I got Tennessee losing to Florida and Tennessee losing to Alabama. Those are my 2 losses for Tennessee. 8-2 for Tennessee. 7-3-ish for Georgia. And I got Florida going 9-1. Who's the loss to? They're not going to win them all. They're not. They're stubbing their toe somewhere in there. If I had to pick a loss for Florida, I'd pick a loss to A&M. I would. That's the loss that I would pick. I'd pick A&M. So when it's all said and done, I've got an undefeated Alabama taking on a 9-1 Florida team in the SEC title game. And here's where Florida fans can be ready. How dare you? You picked them to lose. Yeah, I did. They're going to lose a game. And then Alabama dumps Florida in the SEC championship game. Alabama undefeated. I've got 3 teams going undefeated in college football. Actually, 4. 1 undefeated team. Oregon's going to get left out. Pac-12 is just not playing enough games. Now, if they move it, then you've got a decision on your hands. They move the college football playoff back and then get the Pac-12 to 9. They should move it back. It's how we started this episode. It's all said and done. I like Clemson is the 1. Texas is the 4. Bama is the 2. Ohio State's the 3. Justin Fields from Ohio State's going to win the Heisman Trophy. He's going to win the Heisman Trophy. Why? More marquee games on bigger stages. Clemson's going to tear through everybody, with the exception of Notre Dame. Trevor Lawrence is not going to be able to compile the numbers and have the big moments. He's not. They're not going to do Jameis Winston where they leave him in games where they're scoring 40, 50 points in the first quarter. They're just not going to do it. He's going to have one big marquee game, and it's going to be the Notre Dame one, right? And that's going to be a very big one. But still, Justin Fields, more opportunities, more big games. Justin Fields wins the Heisman. Ohio State, Clemson. No, excuse me. Clemson, Texas, Ohio State, Alabama. I have Ohio State. How about that? How about that? I have Clemson knocking off Texas. I have Ohio State knocking off Alabama. Quarterback play again, Justin Fields. Ohio State and Clemson in the national championship game. And I have Clemson winning the national title. So, Clemson's your 1. Bama's your 2. Ohio State's your 3. Texas is your 4. When it's all said and done, Clemson is your national champion. Once again. Didn't win it last year, though, right? So Clemson, I have them running the table. Just too much talent. I saw what they did in the national championship game last year, and again, those are the talent pools in college football. Coach of the year in the SEC is Jeremy Pruitt. Again, I got Tennessee going 8-2. Give me a good team. There's your little sneaker. There's your sneaker this year. Really quick, I did little Bucs brow lift. This is the weekend in which they can really kind of elevate and show their growth. The Jaguars laid a gigantic egg. I usually do 6 picks to click. Not going to do 6 picks to click. I've got 3 picks this week. 3 picks. Why? Because I'm running out of time on this podcast. I'll start with the NFL. Buccaneers at Denver. Tampa giving the 5.5, laying the 5.5. I'm going to give Denver the 5.5. I think it's going to be a good football game. I do. You saw the ability to run the ball from Leonard Fournette last week. Here's one of those things that people forget. One of Leonard Fournette's biggest monstrous, oh my gosh, what a game that he's had, was actually in Denver. The Jags ran all over the Broncos, and they did it off the back of Leonard Fournette, so the altitude's not going to bother Leonard Fournette at all. I think they run the ball. Brady's not, it doesn't bother him. It doesn't. I think it's Denver's 0-2, and you saw what happened when you have a wounded beast that's 0-2. Just quarterback play again. I think the Bucs win, but it's not very pretty. Give me Tampa like 24-17. The Bucs win. They cover the 5.5. Miami, Florida State. I kind of feel bad for Florida State. I do. I'm not one of these guys that, I hate them. I'm not doing that stuff. I don't. College football is better when Florida State's good. And Mike Norvell's out. They'll be spirited. They'll play hard. They'll play hard in Miami. A game you'll hear on ESPN 98.1 FM 850 AM WRUF. They'll play spirited in Miami. They're not going to win, though. But 11 points is way too salty for me. Way too much. Way too much. Give me Florida State in the plus 11. I think Miami's going to win, but that thing's got like 24-14 written all over it, something like that. So maybe like 20. 11's about right? It's 27-17 is what's going to happen in that one. So I'll take the points and Miami. And then Florida and Ole Miss. Florida's going to beat Ole Miss. This is good. Anybody that loves defense, you're going to hate it. You're going to hate it. On the road, Lane Kiffin's going to have enough. I've watched Dan Mullen's teams here enough at Florida to understand that they're a second-half team. This is going to be a nail-biter in the first half. Florida fans, you're not going to like this first half. You're not. You are not at all. This thing's going to have like 21-14 in the first half. You're going to be upset. What's going on? It's a 14-point spread, but Florida will pull away in the second half. Florida's going to win 38-21. They cover the 14. So take Florida, give the 14. Take Miami in the 11, and take the Bucs, give the 5.5. So there you go, 3 picks. My show starts Monday, 10 to noon, ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM WRUF. There you go. Little prediction time. Had a lot to get to. We got her all in, though, baby. Follow, share, follow, like, at Harp on Sports Twitter, at Harp on Sports Instagram. You can check out The Bar, the podcast, on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on Buzzsprout, Harp on Sports, the YouTube channel, and, of course, Facebook as well. Enjoy your weekend. The SEC season's underway. Big Ten starting in a couple weeks. Pac-12 starting here in about 5 weeks. Enjoy all the action. Remember, stay focused. Stay strong. Stay clean. Frankenstein. Have fun with your friends.